Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B, and today I am sitting in a lot of grief. Along my awakening path, it's really sometimes felt like this whole awakening that, the universe, spirit, kundalini, whatever, it's like mean, it's like cruel. But I understand from a higher point of view that it comes along to poke your wounds, to get into the really dark, shadowy places and clear out some of the stuff that lingers where a wound left a void. And those that don't know my story, who haven't watched all 700 of my videos, my background is has a lot of abandonment wounds in it. I was born to parents that were young and not exactly prepared, I guess, for a child, unplanned pregnancy. And, I'm going off of adoption files here. And my father, I discovered in my 30s, in doing some investigative work. The story that was told to me anyways, when I met him, was that he had gotten involved with drugs, some pretty bad drugs, and committed a crime and went to jail. And because of that, that, I guess that's abandonment wound one, and that destabilized the attempt of a family unit, leaving my mother to not be able to cope. And I moved around. I was moved around a lot in my early years. For a while, I was raised by my grandmother until she died. And so that was yet another abandonment wound. Nobody's fault, but yet another wound. You, as a child, you bond. You form attachments. That's what humans do for their very survival. And I don't. The timing of exactly everything is a little sketchy because these are just files that somebody wrote down. I then went to live for a period of time in foster care. And I have very sketchy memory of that because it was like prior to the age of 2. And then I went back to my mother, who was making, I guess, another attempt to try to make it work. And I was staying with a friend of hers or an aunt or somebody who also then got sick and died. And so that destabilized her further. And at this stage, she was pregnant with another child from another man, and I guess decided she just couldn't cope. She just couldn't cope. So she put me into foster care again at around the age of 2. And then I was adopted. So I was in foster care for, I don't know, a couple months, 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, something like that. And I do have actual memory of my time there. And then, so there were a lot of abandonment wounds that happened in my formative years. And then in my childhood, I experienced a different form of abandonment, being emotional abandonment. Because emotional abandonment is when a parent or parents or the family structure lacks the capacity to show up for the child's needs. And my needs were a lot. Anybody that takes on an adopted child is taking on more because there's already wounds, and because of the more, I had needs that went unmet. A lot of fear, and my attachment was very anxious and very clingy, and no doubt that annoyed the crap out of my adoptive mother, who routinely, I would be having meltdowns as a child. Also, throw into the mix undiagnosed autism into that. And I'm no doubt, I was a lot. And there was a lot I needed that didn't get met, because the mother that raised me, I really think adopted children to fulfill an image, to create a story that she could play the role of as an undiagnosed narcissist. And I'm using the full-fledged narcissist, not narcissistic characteristics. And the reason I do that is because in my 20s, I was seeing a counselor for a very extended period of time when I lived in Toronto, and he specialized in personality disorders. So this is 30 years ago, way before there was the buzzword that is narcissism now. And my time in counseling with him, he as a specialist in personality disorders, he was the one that gave me that label. And so I'm taking it because that comes from an actual professional. That doesn't come from me and popularity of a new buzzword. That's something I've known and something I've been dealing with my entire life. So anybody that has the dealings with a narcissist knows they lack empathy. They don't have the capacity for empathy, although that's not entirely true, because my mother would routinely empathize with anyone else but me. So when I talk about emotional neglect, going out into the world and trying to form bonds with friends was really, really difficult. And when I was, in elementary school, I was bullied quite severely. And the programming that came along with that was not, I'm sorry you had a bad day, or it was always, well, what did you do? Because the problem must be you, because you're a really difficult person to love. You're too much, you're too needy, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, you're too. So I took that in as there was something fundamentally wrong with me. And the masking began. And I carried with me all of my life a belief that, I was, there was something seriously wrong with me. And the self-loathing that I had was extreme. And when I started on this awakening journey, you know, like my tagline is learn to love the fuck out of yourself, because I didn't have any of that. And I went through life not understanding my own value, not understanding why relationship was so fucking difficult. And you know, I accepted and tolerated because I learned in the environment that I had been raised in. I learned that, you know, take what you can get, you know, take the breadcrumbs. And if people emotionally ignore you or neglect your feelings or give you the silent treatment, that was normal. That was what was to be expected. So silence became a wound that I never really understood. You know, I would try my hardest to do whatever I could to morph myself into a person that somebody would accept and somebody would like. And ultimately, you know, I would reenact the wound over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result, like hoping for a different, like, this person is gonna see me, this person is gonna like care about me, this person is gonna love me. And when they didn't do that, or when they couldn't do that, or when, you know, they didn't value what I brought to the table, you know, I didn't have any sense of self-protection. And self-protection is, in actuality, a father wound. So here I'm experiencing a wounding of emotional neglect as well as abuse. And I was never countered or protected from that because the dynamic within the household was that, you know, my mother ruled the roost. And anybody that didn't follow the script or didn't follow her control over the narrative would they themselves endure her wrath. So I witnessed my father, you know, being annihilated by her, and he would put up and shut up. You know, that was the. And so, and then if I were being abused or raged at or hit or put in isolation, the mode became put up and shut up. He would put up and shut up with me being treated like that. He would put up and shut up with himself being treated like that. And my brother would put up and shut up with, that was the dynamic. Everybody learned you put up and shut up. And so I learned in relationship, the only way to receive love, to receive care and concern, was to put up and shut up. Was to not, you know, address your needs, not communicate your needs, not, you know, have boundaries. There was no boundaries. You know, in a narcissist dynamic with a scapegoat, it's a completely enmeshed, you know, because they project onto you all of their shadow. So everything that she hated about herself was put onto me. And everything that she loved about herself was put onto my brother, who was the golden. And, you know, so he was honored and and revered. And I was taught as well that, okay, I need to honor and revere people. I need to put up and shut up when people ignore me, ignore my needs, pretend and gaslight that this situation isn't really what's happening. Everybody's gonna play a role, and the role is everybody plays happy families, and nobody addresses the fact that I have welts on my ass, or I've been, punished and put into my room, and I don't mean like you've been a naughty girl, go have a 5-minute timeout. For somebody who had been already adopted with massive wounds in regards to abandonment, to be shoved in isolation in the quiet was like torture. It was a form of torture. And the thing with people who are tortured is over time they develop a really fucked up bond with their torturer. As in, if I just try a little bit harder, I can earn their love, I can earn their respect. I just need to mask better. I just need to try harder. I just need to not be me. I just need to be somebody else. And, there's a psychological term for that, but I can't recall it right now. So, because of my wounds, with abandonment, with an anxious attachment style, with this thing about silence, this new phenomenon, well, I suppose it's actually not new, because it's happened to me throughout my entire life, but it's got a name for it now, which is ghosting. Having individuals just disappear out of your life is one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. And on this awakening path, as I said when I started, Kundalini or the spirit, the universe, whatever you resonate with, like pokes into these wounds and like scrapes out the scar tissue to like expose so that the wounds can be finally faced and addressed. And this is why I do what I do. This is deep shadow work and deep inner child work. When we have these wounds poked at, debrided in a way, a spiritual debridement of like, we're gonna clean out this because it's gangrenous, and we're gonna heal it. So in my awakening, and this may not resonate with everybody, it depends on your wounds. If you have abandonment wounds, then this might resonate. On my awakening, it's been one after another of these losses, these very dramatic losses of people that like really kick-started my PTSD symptoms. Back in 2020, my best friend of 25 years walked out of my life, and I've never heard from her again or since. It's like she's just disappeared off the planet. And I knew Spirit had given me a heads up that she was about to leave. So my grieving cycle started even before. It was like a test was coming up of what are you willing to tolerate? What are you willing to put up and shut up in this situation that is becoming intolerable? At what point are you going to communicate? And I knew as soon as I asked her to move out of my house, because I had provided her with a soft landing when her marriage had broke down, and she had been with me for a period of time, and the situation was so not resonating, so at odds. And a large part of that was because, and I've said in many videos, when you change and heal certain things, you cannot, and it's not personal, but you cannot resonate with people that are still doing those things. So I had quit drinking, and our whole relationship had been a relationship with drinking involved. You know, that was when I was weaning myself off alcohol for years, you know, because I just kind of stopped drinking. But anytime I was in her company, I knew there would be drinking involved. And so to live in an environment where you're trying to get healthy and clean and sober, and somebody is still drinking, and the energy, and again, it's not personal, but the energy resonance was like clashing. It was just clashing so bad. It was not uncomfortable. It was not comfortable, and there was no need for her to continue actually living here. She was financially well set up to be able to go get her own place, even buy a place, you know. So I knew that the moment I communicated my truth, which was, you know, this isn't working energetically, I think you should find your own place. 3 weeks later, she moved out without a thank you for keeping her for 9 months, and that was it. I have not heard from her since. And the PTSD that I felt in the loss of that relationship was like astronomical. Because I now know about trauma bonds, but I was very trauma bonded because I had gone from, you know, desperate to have a connection with my mother to this surrogate relationship that she became my everything. She was my family. I put her on the pedestal because, you know, I'd learned the dynamic that you need to put people on pedestals, and that was how it worked. Reciprocity, equality. No, that's not how it works when you are a scapegoat and you're raised by somebody who rules the roost. It is, I am subservient to you. I am nothing. I am garbage, and you are everything. And so this friendship was a very, in retrospect, I can see back now, like, so many things that I just, anything that I was having, feeling or hurt or upset about, I would shove down. I would not communicate that shit. Nope, not ruffling her feathers. I want her in my corner. I'll do anything it takes to, like, you know, keep her happy. She doesn't want to talk to me for 6 months because, you know, she's doing her own thing. Oh, that's okay. You know, that's what friends are. Friends are friends that just see each other once in a blue moon and communicate once every so often and breadcrumb a little bit, and then, you know, show up, have some love bombing, and then fuck off again. That's what a friend is, isn't it? Isn't that what a friend is? Well, that's what I've got. So I'm gonna hold on to that. So I am. But that started the cycle of this ghosting, poke, and loss. And then next up was this whole twin flame situationship that I have often described as the trauma bond that ends all trauma bonds. Because you meet somebody and it's like nothing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Like the knowing that you have about this person on an energetic level, it was like being seen for the first time. Now, in retrospect, I see that, you know, he was like the key that opened the door, but the door was me, and the journey was me, and everything was me. He just was the key. But I thought he was everything, you know, like I thought, and there were blessings mixed in with this, like, curse of a journey that comes with it, because you have this, like, heart opening, this soul recognition, this vibration that feels like the angels are all singing in harmony. And then he was gone, you know. So we were communicating as friends, nothing more than that, but like we were communicating as friends, and you know, it was intense. It was amazing. I felt hook, line, sinker, madly in love with this person. And then boom, he was gone without a word. Like, not, I'm sorry, I gotta do my own thing, or this isn't gonna work for me, or like 0 words, just all of a sudden gone. And it was like, talk about debriding. It was like somebody had taken a hot poker and like shoved it deep into the wound, and so deep into the wound that whatever was like toxic in there, the pus, the gangrene, it got access to that, and it was like, ooh, the ooze started, the ooze part of my awakening, and the grief. 3 years I cried, like almost every single day. Like just the purge and purge and purge and purge and purge. And it was like, I'm not saying I was crying just because of him. I was like, as I said, he was like this hot poker, this lance like came in, and like everything that was in me, every wound that I'd ever had in relationship was just purging and releasing and crying. And like the grief cycles, like the stuff that was, it was crazy. It was crazy. But because I have so many wounds, it wasn't just one single solitary abandonment wound, it was multiple. The universe wasn't done with me yet. And since that time, there have been people that have come in, and then people that have like just disappeared again and gone, and like it's not work. And each time it's been an exercise or a lesson in recognizing when something's incongruent and not resonating, 2, learning how to communicate and say, hey, wait a second, I feel like you're crossing a boundary, or hey, wait a second, I've got some ethical things that don't sit well with me. Like, I had a group of people that it was like reliving some childhood fantasy of being part of a clique, because I was never part of a clique. And you know, this was back in 2021, and this group, this drama group that I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And then a situation came about, because that's what the universe does, is it concocts these crazy situations. And the director of the film that I was in sexually harassed a woman in front of us. Like, we were all there watching. It was like part of a skit and part of a joke. It was inappropriate, and it certainly should not have just gone unchecked and unnoticed. And so the women in the group were all kind of like, what's happening? Why is this in this day and age being allowed to happen? Why is this going down? And so there was a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation and a lot of like upset over it. And there were all these like back chats that we were having in groups, and it was exacerbated and getting worse and worse and worse. And people were like, no, this shouldn't be it. And so one woman was like, well, I work for the company that this is all part of, so I'm gonna like make a stink about it. I'm gonna make, you know. And we were like, yeah, you should do that. That's fantastic. And she got fired. And then we were even more up in arms, and I got pulled in because I'm very good at writing legal letters after years of having the role of being a lawyer for my ex. And I was like, right, I'm standing up for myself. I'm standing up for the rights of women. I'm standing up. I'm communicating. So I quit the agency. And I was like, I can't tolerate working for an agent that is going to allow this type of behavior to continue. So I put my career, my hopes and dreams of a career off the table. Like, I was like, that was, I was living my entire life's fantasy of being an actress and being in a group of actors and creating this whole thing. And I was like so excited. And, you know, a good few of us were like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to tolerate that. And so we left. And then there was this event, for the showing of the film that we were all in. And, you know, I had a group and chat that I had created. Like, I had created a space for us all. And I was like, I hope nobody's going because this is bullshit. If we do go, we should be protesting and we should be making a stink about it. And nobody said anything. Again, silence. Silence. Lies of omission. Nobody said a word. And then that night, I woke up to see Instagram completely covered with all of them in their fancy dresses, and I was disgusted. I felt so betrayed. I felt so hurt. One, because nobody said anything to me and said, hey, listen, you know, I understand that you don't want to go, but I'm going to go. I'm just giving you the heads up because we're friends and I care about how you feel. Nobody said anything, but they went. And so I was like tested in this moment of, you know, do you do what's right even if you're standing alone? Or do you, you know, put up and shut up? And I was like, I can't put up and shut up. It absolutely devastated me. But Kundalini wasn't done with me yet because, as I said, there were all these other wounds in there, and more I'd have situations that a new person would come into my life. Like the amount of loss, the exodus that is people, because anybody who's not in resonance, a situation will arise. And it's like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Like, it's insanity. And I've learned so many lessons about who I am, what I'm willing to tolerate, what I'm not willing to tolerate. And that list is lengthy now, you know. I'm not willing to tolerate being gaslit. I'm not willing to tolerate lies of omission. I'm not willing to tolerate a false persona of niceness when there's something else at play. I'm not willing to tolerate a soft ghost or a hard ghost, you know, somebody that says, hey, you know, when somebody comes in and they're in your space and you're seeing each other all the time and all of a sudden they kind of like wither away and you're like, hey, where'd you go? What's up? Did I do something wrong? Is everything okay? Oh, no, yeah, I'm just busy. I'll reach out soon. Or when I get back, let's do tea next week. And then you never hear from them. I'm like, no. No, that hurts. That hurts. And so Spirit keeps sending these things. I've had people come at me with projection and I'm like, oh, okay, no, I'm calling that out and it's not going to work. I've had other people like constantly taking advantage of my role as an intuitive counselor and, you know, using me as their own personal 24/7, like, and I was like, okay, I can't solve all your life's problems. You know, I've given you what I think you should do, and now you need to like either go do it or stop talking about it. Oh, well, fine. Who do you think you are? Screw off, you know? And then they're gone, and you're like, yeah, well, whatever. I need to have healthy boundaries. And like, when you've been raised, I repeat, in a narcissistic home, you don't have boundaries. You don't have a right to communicate, I don't like this. I don't like it when you hit me. Yeah, how do you think that's going to go over? That's going to get you hit harder. Is what that's going to get. Or you're going to get gaslit with, and believe it or not, this hurts me more than it does you. Interesting. I don't see welts on you, so I'm not quite entirely sure how you are getting more hurt than I am, right? But again, it's the flip and switch on the empathy. Empathy goes to them or to the other, but never to the scapegoat. It is like being deprived of necessary building blocks that people need to become a fully functioning human. And when you go on to the awakening process, we need to go through clearing out all the gunk so that we can fill it back up with the missing information that we never received. The love, the compassion, the understanding, the care, the boundaries, the self-respect, the self-value, the self-worth, so that we can develop and heal back into what we should have always been, but we're deprived of. And this process it's brutal. It is not an easy process. So I've been, for the last few days, in profound grief as yet another person that I gave my heart to just like, I just can't even. I just can't even. And it's like Spirit is saying, have you learned the lesson yet? Have you learned that you deserve more? Have you learned that breadcrumbs aren't good enough? Have you learned that false promises are that, just that? Have you learned? Have you learned? Have you learned? Have you learned? And so we learn what we won't tolerate by being given situations that we shouldn't tolerate. So icky situations of like non-resonance, situations of like energy pulling apart. And the thing is, it's not personal. None of it is personal. It's just energetic. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt to your person. My person is hurting. But the energetics, as you heal stuff, will pull you away from those individuals that were once resonating at that level. So if you were once resonating at the level of, drinking, which is a very low vibe thing, it just is what it is, and you pull yourself up out of that, you can't resonate anymore. If you pull yourself up out of sickness, and bad eating habits, if you and your friends and your buddies are all going to like a pizza parlor every Friday night and drinking down your colas and then having ice cream for dessert, and that's what you guys do, and then you say, hey, look, I got diabetes, I'm healing this shit, you're not going to go to the pizza place on Friday because there's no food for you to eat. So you're not going to resonate with your buddies no more because they're still participating and energetically consuming lower vibe stuff. So it's not going to work. If you quit smoking or quit, pot. I had a situation with somebody who's like still smoking pot and I wasn't. And that's fine. Listen, everybody's entitled to do whatever they want to do. But it came about that I was like, listen, you don't get to tell me how to do sober when you're still smoking. They didn't like that. Because I was like, I'm facing stuff sober. So when you get to where I'm at, then you'll understand. But until then, you don't get to tell me how to do sober when you're not sober. So, not in resonance. So, on this healing path, the more you heal, the less people there are around you. Because you just stop putting up and shutting up. You stop, tolerating. You stop participating. You stop all of these energies that once were your norm, and you step into a new vibrational frequency that for a period of time has you vibing alone. And it's for our highest and greatest good. It's for our highest protection. I don't have a problem being alone. I'm quite used to my own company. And I know I'm like being headed, spearheaded into being totally on my own, because Spirit has made it very clear, listen, you have been a landing place for people your whole life. And it's time that I just did me. And that means my adult fledgling soul kids need to fly the coop. And I need to know what it is to be in my own energy. And that will be lonely at times. So I can already see more loss coming in. Loss behind me. Loss. But there is also new coming in from Soul Tribe, which is an altogether different feeling and a different vibration. But if I don't sit in the grief and allow that ooze to come out of me, the pain of loss, because just because you're not resonating with somebody anymore, it doesn't mean that you stop loving them. I still love all of those people. My problem is probably I love them too much. So when you love something too much, it becomes codependent. It becomes an attachment that is like, please see me, please love me, please care about me. When there's nothing wrong with love, but there's something wrong with loving to the point where you're not loving yourself. So I've had to let go of situations where, listen, I love you so much, but I have to love me more. I have to not abandon me. I have to protect me. I have to be the mother that I never had, to give myself the nurturance, the kindness, the care, the soothing, the gentle, all of that, which is what I've been doing for the last couple days, as well as I have to reparent myself from the father wound, the father side, which says, no, I'm not tolerating that. That's not acceptable. I'm communicating what doesn't work. I'm creating healthy boundaries that keep me safe, because if I'm not safe, if my feelings aren't safe, if my heart isn't safe in the company of others, then the father in me needs to stand up and say, no, you don't get access. Go home. You don't get access anymore. I am not a hotel. I don't know if people thought I was a hotel, but I am not a hotel. Once you check out, there's no like, oh, I'll check back in when it's convenient for me. That's not healthy for me. That's not going to work for me. Inconsistency doesn't work for me. Hot and cold definitely doesn't work for me. A lack of communication and honesty and integrity definitely does not work for me. A lack of respect and, honoring me and what I bring to the table and showing up in reciprocal energy, no. The list gets longer and longer and longer on this awakening journey of what I'm willing to tolerate and put up and shut up, which is about this much. It really is. It's about this much left. And yeah, it's a painful process, letting go of people you love that can't love you back. And that's no fault of theirs, they're just not in the same place as you. They're just not where you are. anymore. And it's heartbreaking because you can still love them so much, but you cannot heal somebody else. You cannot save somebody else. You cannot speed up somebody else is journey. You cannot, bring a horse to water and force it to drink. You cannot, if you are on an accelerated awakening path like I am, and you're going, oh, up, 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 you keep losing every time you do. And there's nothing you can do about it. You learn to grieve and honor the grief. You learn to let go of any attachments and all attachments. And for me, attachments to people has been by far the hardest thing to let go of. Let go of smoking, easy. Let go of people, yeah, the pain it's awakenings are for our highest and greatest good. Letting go of people that no longer resonate is for our highest and greatest good. But it's not easy. And I don't want to give out to the world the impression that this shit is easy. We are unfucking our lives literally one thing at a time, because it's just one giant clusterfuck out there. How we interrelate with each other, old dynamics of relationship, whether that be relationship within family or relationship within partnership or relationship within friendship or relationship at workplaces, all of it needs review. And you can't control what anybody else does or how they respond or how they think. You can only control you. You can only save you and say, no. I would rather be alone than ever tolerate something that hurts me again. Now that's too loud, so I'm gonna say all my love to everyone out there, and peace in. I'm gonna go in. Stopped. If anybody needs any help along this awakening journey that is facing some of these issues and dealing with loss and grief, and feel free to reach out and book a one-on-one with me. I can certainly hold space for you as you process through your own strange dynamics that need to be readdressed. Send me off a DM or an email to book an appointment. Otherwise, you can join our Spiritual Warrior support groups meetings at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, Eastern Standard Time. The link for that will be in the description below. Thank you for all of the love, the shares, the subscriptions, everything, the donations, getting through this awakening journey. And I hope there's another thing that comes that's a little bit lighter and brighter when everything is resolved and everything is completed with my house. And we're all holding on for dear life, people. And peace in.